Hello and welcome to the second tutorial in the Minotaur Narrative Tools tutorial series. Today we're going to be talking about barks. So if you load up the sample project with the tutorials in it, you can go ahead and go to the bark tutorial subfolder, which is primarily where we'll be working today, and load up the bark tutorial scene. So to get started, we're going to want to look at our two NPCs in the environment. So for barking, these characters are going to have a barking character component on them, which requires a character to bark from and a bark text, which is automatically included if you are using the basic NPC prefab. There is also an optional approach event, which will be triggered when this NPC is approached, which can be useful for creating just ambient barks. So to get started, we're going to go ahead and create some new characters. If you already completed the dialogue tutorial, you can use your characters from that as well. However, today I'm going to be creating new ones. So we're going to go into the characters folder here, right click, create, Minotaur, new character, have NPC A. And today we're not going to be worrying about the icon because it is not used in the bark system. I'm going to duplicate that and create NPC B. Likewise, we are not going to create a character for the player because the player will not be barking in this tutorial. However, that can be accomplished if you would like it to happen. So, I'm going to go ahead and drag these characters into their respective fields on the barking character components. And next, we're going to create some approach events. So going into events here, we're going to want to go to create, Minotaur, barks, new bark event. Note that these do need to be bark events. Other events will not work. This is just done for the sake of tidiness, so that when you're searching for an event to set up new barks, the inspector is not incredibly cluttered. Anyways, we'll go ahead and call this a approach, and we will create one called the approach as well. Go ahead and assign those into their respective fields. Excellent. Go ahead and save that. So it's worth mentioning at this point that there are a number of predefined events already set up in the scene. These are triggered off of the interactives in the scene. We will come back to these in a bit. Now, we should go ahead and write our first bark. So going into the barks folder, go to create, Minotaur, barks, new bark. This one we're going to call a hello. So this is going to trigger when A is approached. It will trigger from NPC A. It will have no conditions today, but we'll just have them say hello. Then we'll go ahead and create one for NPC B while we're here. So we'll go create, Minotaur, barks, new bark. Call this one be greeting. So this will be when we approach B. It will trigger from NPC B, and NPC B will say salutations, traveler. So in this tutorial project, and in most projects that you work with Minotaur in, you will not have to do anything more at this point. The barks will automatically be registered into the system. However, it is worth going over how that happens. So in the resources folder, there is an all barks list here, which will automatically retrieve all barks created to this path. If you ever create barks and they don't show up here, or you've deleted some and you just want to make sure that everything's clear, then you can press this button up here to manually retrieve and confirm the barks. I'll show that actually in action, so we'll go ahead and delete that and then press the button to repopulate it. Cool. And then this barks list is added to the runtime barks component because this is what we'll be working with. Don't worry about the bark events today. That is a more advanced feature and is just a way for scripting events to communicate with the system rather than just all of the serialized events through scriptable objects. We will not worry about that today. So we have NPC A and B set up along with their approach events. We have barks for each of them. Now let's go ahead and see it in action. So we'll first walk over to NPC A. NPC A barks hello at us. Then we'll walk over to NPC B. NPC barks at us. Excellent. But that's not all that it's limited to. We can also trigger barks off of any event. So I mentioned earlier that I have these interactives set up in the environment along with their own events. So let's go ahead and create some barks for that. So actually, before I do that, I do want to show a bug. Occasionally when you create a new bark, it will kick you out of the folder that you were working in. I'm still working out a few of the kinks in the system. I'm not entirely sure what's triggering this, but don't worry. Your bark will still be there. Just need to go re-navigate to the folder. So we'll have the NPC A react to the player messing with the pot. So we'll have our pot event. NPC A will say, what are you doing with my pot? Once again, don't need to do anything else because it is already set up to do that. We can go ahead and press play and test that out. So we will first walk up to NPC A. NPC A will greet us with a hello. And then we walk up here to the pot, interact with it with E, and NPC A will react to the event that was sent by interacting with the pot. Alright, that does it for this tutorial. Next time we will be talking about the quest system, which is more advanced than these previous two systems and will require prerequisite knowledge from both of them to continue.